Hello, I'm Denis Greene, founder of the Stewardship System and president of Church Development. Thank you so much for your willingness to serve as an ambassador for your church's annual stewardship campaign. Your role is vital. You are a champion for stewardship, and you help provide a human touch for your stewardship campaign. We've learned a lot over the past 20 years in helping churches with their stewardship efforts, and there's definitely a right way and a wrong way to proceed. Specifically, by trial and error and through years of research on stewardship, we've learned the best ways to encourage generosity without offending people or making them feel guilty. In the old days, we used to go door to door with pressure and pledge card, and oftentimes we would not leave until we got the pledge card signed. This tactic is not well received today, and for good reason. We need the social contact with others. However, we've learned that it's more important for people to base their stewardship commitment in relationship to their prayer life. Through the stewardship system, we believe a person's decision to give is between them and God. Therefore, we want their commitment to be the result of prayer, not pressure. That's why all of our stewardship campaigns are organized so that the decision to give is ultimately the result of prayer, reflection, and discernment. Our training today is going to equip you to be a success at contacting your church members about the stewardship campaign. So let's start by walking through our agenda. First, we're going to take a quick look at national trends in church giving. This will give you a big picture view related to what you're about to embark upon. Next, we'll review the importance of your job. Then we'll equip you with 3 techniques to be a success. This will include a handful of tools to enable you to answer every question or situation that you might encounter. Finally, we're going to look at the next steps and action items for the ambassador team. Now, to set you at ease, we want to make it very clear that you'll not be asking people for money. We're not trying to trick you into twisting people's arms and bringing the high pressure. These tactics don't work, and we won't employ them here. It is important for you to remember that your contact with the people you call will not be a surprise. Before your calls begin, your stewardship campaign will provide a good deal of stewardship education. Members will have engaged in a time of prayer for their giving. They'll have received an information brochure, and your pastor will have delivered several sermons about stewardship. Lay speakers will have presented the case for stewardship, and numerous communication pieces like your bulletin and newsletters and brochures will have been distributed. So each person you call will have received approximately 6 to 12 different contacts about the campaign. As opposed to asking them to make a pledge, your role is really more to serve as a reminder that now is the time for action. Think of your role as more of a customer service representative, to borrow an analogy from the business world. You'll simply make sure they have received their campaign materials and ask if they have any questions that you can answer. No asking for money involved, honestly. So let's walk through the state of giving in the church today. Unfortunately, we know from exhaustive research that the average person only gives 1 to 2% of their income to their church. George Barna has shown through 20-plus years of surveys that only 5% of the population tithes. Perhaps more alarming, only 2% of the youngsters, and I define that as people younger than me, only 2% of this group actually tithes. Of the few that do tithe, less than 4% give that complete tithe to their church. Since the Great Recession of 2008, giving to churches has hit a speed bump. About 30% have noted a decline, 20% have reported a flat, and 61% of all churches need some help in stewardship. The good news is that our approach should have a significant impact. Our goal is to increase generosity and help your members grow in the grace of giving. We want people to embrace the idea that God's blessings are meant to flow through us. We're meant to be like the Sea of Galilee, where the water flows freely through the sea, creating an environment rich in nutrients and health, not like the Dead Sea, where water only flows in and never out, creating a stagnant pool that can't support life. Let's talk about the importance of your job. Through your phone call, you will add a human touch to the campaign. You're the person-to-person contact that will add the human element to the campaign effort. You're going to help educate people about how important their role is in the success of the church. You're going to encourage giving. You're going to convey gratitude and thanks. As a matter of fact, I think it's probably a good idea for you to thank people at the beginning of your dialogue, as well as at the conclusion of your dialogue. Let's take a quick campaign overview. Now, you know the date of your Commitment Sunday and our goals that we've set as a committee for the church. We want to increase the number of pledges, we want to increase the amount of funds pledged, and we want to encourage people who don't yet pledge to get involved by making a commitment to the church. Our campaign objectives are really to build a culture of generosity and to teach stewardship. Wouldn't it be great if we could work ourselves out of a job? Hopefully someday an annual campaign won't be needed because people just get the idea. They grasp the idea that God's blessings flow through us. And giving will be so generous that we don't even have to ask. That's our vision. So before you make your phone calls, you may want to take a few minutes to plan your approach. Visualize who your audience will be. Tailor your comments to each of the people who you receive on your list from the Stewardship Committee. Review all the materials. Make sure you've read through them all. So when you receive a question, if you get a tough one and you don't know the answer, well, don't feel like you have to make something up. That'll only get you in deeper trouble. Just simply say, that's a great question. Let me get back to you with that. Then contact your Stewardship Committee chair for an answer. And make sure you follow through and call the person back in a timely manner. You may even want to practice a phone call or two on your friends. Find a friendly face and run through what you'll say a time or two. Read through your material so you're ready. And the most important thing is to make sure to be genuine. Don't pretend to be something that you're not. Don't bring the pressure. You're a member of the church, a fellow member of their spiritual family. So be genuine, be yourself. Don't be shy, though. All right, now I want to walk through 3 specific things that will help make your phone calls a success. When you make that call, you're going to open by thanking the person for their participation. Thank him or her for being a member of your church's spiritual community. Be sure to let them know the nature of the call. You'll see from the script that you've got there in front of you that we've provided that you will clearly identify yourself when you first contact them. Let them know you're a member of the ambassador team for the Stewardship campaign. You'll see something like this. Hi, this is Jim Smith from Grace Church. I'm calling to check in with you before Commitment Sunday. Do you have a moment we can chat? Most people will say yes, but respect their time. If they don't, set another time in the future when you can call back. Then you might say, the first question we want to ask is, did you receive the Stewardship campaign materials that were sent to you recently? If they didn't, well, take a note, and we've got to send them something right away. Confirm what their address and zip code is so to make sure the office has got that correctly. You'll want to turn in any of these types of calls right away so the office can send out another campaign packet. So your first objective is make sure they've got that packet. The second objective, ask if they have any questions, concerns, or feedback about the Stewardship campaign. Be sure to note any issues on your call log. Make sure you're a good active listener. Repeat back their question or concerns before you address them. For instance, if a member says, I don't understand why we have to have a Stewardship campaign, well, a good active listening technique would be to say, so you're wondering why the church is doing an annual Stewardship campaign? Once they acknowledge that that is their question, then you can proceed to the answer. This will help the member feel heard and put them at ease. In your packet of campaign ambassador materials, we provided a helpful question and answer sheet in which we've identified many common questions and answers. This is a good tool to rely upon for the most common questions you might receive. Check with the head of your stewardship team if you have other questions that are not addressed in that list, or perhaps there's something more specific or unique that you need to address. The third thing you're going to do is encourage them to prayerfully consider a pledge to the campaign. Most people won't have a lot of questions and concerns, but if they do, be respectful, be an active listener, and move towards conclusion with requesting that they consider making a pledge. Share your excitement, encourage support, remind them of the Commitment Sunday or Commitment Weekend date. Let them know there is a date. There's an event horizon coming up. Remember, you're setting this event's time horizon. So after all the campaign activities, they know now is the time for action. Let them know their participation is very valuable to the church. Direct them to the campaign brochure if they've got other questions, because we packed a lot of good information in there. Don't forget to say thank you. Thank you for considering supporting your church. Encourage them to be prayerful about their decision and their commitment. Now, as far as logistics for your ambassador team goes, your committee chair will provide you with a call list. And most of the churches that we work with, the ambassadors make between 12 and 20 calls. This only takes an hour or two. So you can have a tremendous impact on your church in just a short period of time. You'll be provided with names and phone numbers that you'll call. Most calls only last a minute or two, and most people don't have a whole lot of questions. They just need that little reminder that now's the time for action. It would be very rare for that call to exceed a couple of minutes. Now, you'll also leave a lot of phone messages. So we've included both an answering machine script and a live call script. Now, while you probably won't have this many, we've found that you can make 50 phone calls in 2 hours. We suggest that you make at least 2 attempts to reach every single person on your list. And plan on making those calls over a couple nights or maybe a Saturday morning so that you try different times of the day to reach people. We've discovered the best time to call are between 7 and 9 p.m. in the evenings, and 9 to 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning. If you do get an answering machine, make sure you leave a message, because everybody has caller ID now. And it's a good idea. It's good etiquette to leave a message as noted on that answering machine script that you've been provided. Now, please feel free to deviate from the script so that your calls match your personality. We don't want you to sound like a robot. Remember, your question and answer handout in your packet is something you'll use frequently. We'd like you to fill out a call log for every one of those contacts, turn it into your team chair when you're done. It's also a good time to address what to do in case you reach a church member who's going through a crisis. Now, we don't expect you to handle a crisis situation, but this might happen. Ask the member if it would be okay to have the pastor contact him or her. Make a note on the call log and quickly contact the church office for follow-up. They'll appreciate your willingness to help. If they press the issue with you, feel free to say, I'm sympathetic to your needs, however, I'm not really equipped to help you with a concern of this nature. I promise I will get this information to the pastoral staff immediately, and then do it. Now, we're nearly done with our ambassador training, but I want to make sure you know that your committee chair is ready to answer any questions or concerns that you might have. Are there any additional questions that you think we should add to the question and answer sheet? Hey, let the chairperson know. After we conclude this training video, I want you to talk about proper questions and answers with your chairperson so we can get those questions and answers on the list. I hope you feel more comfortable in your role as an ambassador after viewing this training video. I want you to know how important your phone calls are and that human contact is to this stewardship campaign. Thank you so much for serving as a champion for stewardship, as an ambassador for your church. Don't take it personally if someone doesn't want to give or they're less than supportive of the stewardship effort. Remember, you're serving the Lord, and God is pleased with your efforts. Finally, let's address the next steps your ambassador team will want to make. All of your phone calls should be made in the 2 weeks before Commitment Sunday. Don't start calling until you know that they received the packet in the mail. You might want to consider hosting a call party for all ambassadors. You can gather together and make your calls together in a room. We found that this is a fun way to get the job done, get the ball rolling, and also helps to build community between your fellow ambassadors. Please remember to turn in your call logs once you're done. This helps your team chair keep track of the process and determine if the calls are being made. In summary, your job as an ambassador is very important. You'll check in with members to make sure they've received the packet of information. You'll answer questions, but most importantly, you're serving as a catalyst for giving and an ambassador for stewardship. I know you'll do a great job, and I pray that your stewardship campaign is a great success and your church secures the resources they need to minister. Thank you very much for volunteering. God bless.